What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Soon Network soon today. Hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it, okay? It is the 10th day of August, and here we are, my friends, sitting at about 36.6 cents. I remember the first video I made, I want to say it was somewhere around here. The last video we definitely talked about it somewhere in this area. I can't remember exactly when it was, but we were talking about this as an interesting prospect, something that you might have to hold in order for it to pump. But man, that was a massive, massive pump that we had. Looking at this here from a relative low, if you bought the absolute low, which very rarely anybody does, on the 5th of July there to the high that we just had today, it was an overall 4.8x in essentially 1 month. Not bad, not bad. Even if you bought the high, right, the high of this range over the past month, that was a 3.4x overall. And to the current price, it's even a 2x. So anybody who bought within the last month, really, other than the last like maybe 4 days, you're doing pretty well. You're sitting on a pretty stack of cash right now. Anybody who bought within the last, what would 24 minus 7 be? 17 hours. Yeah, 17 hours. In the last, is that right? Yeah, 17 hours, you're probably in pain right now. That's you're probably in a little bit of pain, and that's okay. I do think this thing will continue to grow. I did a little bit of a fundamental analysis on it in my first video. I forget when that was. I want to say it was somewhere over here. But I do think that this thing's interesting. And what I really think is interesting, too, about Soon, if we're looking at it here, Soon USD, is that it's on Bybit, it's on OKX, BitGet, Binance, MEXC. It's on a lot of these different exchanges. But it's just for most of them, it's just as perpetual. So there's the opportunity to trade it without like having actual ownership. But I think that spot transaction, that spot availability will come soon enough. And maybe, I don't see Coinbase on here. Maybe Coinbase would list this thing at some point too, and that could cause a little bit of a rally as well. What we like about Soon is that it does have a very low market cap, $87.4 million now. I want to say the market cap was like 20 million or something like that down there. What was it? Can we do the market cap? Let's see. Yeah, like 20 to 30 million down there. So after this pump, you're up a good little bit there. But I am making this video because I believe that it will continue to grow. I don't think this is a one-off. Sure, you're dumping a lot right now, and at the moment from your high, I mean, it says you're down 15% today, 14.9%, but really you're down about 40%. These are very common pullbacks in crypto when you're working your way higher. And the thing to pay attention to here, guys, is yesterday we had a 100% on the dot pump. You did a 2x in 1 day yesterday. So very, very immense growth in a very short amount of time. And there's plenty of coins that I follow, that I like, that I'm invested in, that they've done 10x's in a month, 10x's in 2 weeks, more than that, less than that, 3x's, whatever. And they all do the same thing. They all drop along the way 30 to 40%, 50 to 60% at various times on the way. This is that drop on the way to higher prices. At least that's my perspective. That's what I'm thinking here. If we look at this on the 1 hour time frame, you did pump with immense volume. As you continued to rally, less volume came in. That should have been, and then as we got to the top, even less volume, right? That should have been an indication that this move is coming to an end. We look at the 1 hour time frame, you had some bearish divergence forming on the RSI and the stochastics and the MACD. Perfect storm for some downside. But on all three of these indicators now, you're actually at an area where you might expect to bounce. We'll look at some fibs and see if we can come up with anything. But also on that note of a signal that we were going to go lower, volume did pick up. After it was dying off, volume did pick up here once you started to move down. Now that we're moving lower, volume's dying off. Just like here, you moved up, volume picked up. As you're moving higher, volume died off. That implied a reversal. We're moving lower, volume's dying off. That should imply a reversal of the reversal. Okay, typically these corrective phases, they do come in 1, 2, 3 kind of looks. So I'm not saying that this is the low itself. It could be. It definitely could be. We could just, this could be it. It's very possible. But let's see if we can divulge some more information first. Looking at the stochastics, you are oversold. The MACD here, you're near an area, and you're in an area now where you'd expect to bounce, but you could stay in this area for a while with the stochastics. The RSI might come to the oversold zone, but you're also near an area to bounce with the oversold area there. The MACD could bounce here, but it's more common for this, I think, to come a little bit lower and scoop this zero rather than just the blue line bouncing off of it itself. So all of these are very near areas to bounce, but might imply on an hourly basis that we have lower to go. Maybe you bounce here a little bit, but then you continue to go a little bit lower, right? Nothing too crazy. Or maybe it is crazy, actually, because we're dealing with some big percentage swings here. Looking at the 4-hour time frame, let's get a look at this, maybe even on the daily, so that I can see. Let's take a low to high. Low to high, where are you? And we're on the Binance chart, so I'm assuming this is going to be the most reliable with volume and everything. It makes a lot of sense. Not financial advice, not a financial advisor, but it makes a lot of sense that you would come down and probably find support at about 33.533 cents, because that's where your 382 is. In powerful moves, powerful endeavors, you typically do find support right at that 382. So I really wouldn't be surprised in the least if that's what happened. If we came down to the 382, found support right there, and then continued to rally and move up higher. Okay, that's the expectation that I have. That's what I'm thinking is going to happen. It's very possible that you go a little bit lower. It's also fairly common to wick below the 382. So if you go below 33 cents, don't be intimidated. Again, that percentage drop overall will give us something like a 45% to, I mean, maybe something over a 50% drop. Any of that, it's totally normal, even in bull market conditions for crypto, right? If this is your first cycle in crypto, you might think, oh, it's a pump and dump, and it kind of is, but then it'll probably continue to run. So something between 27.8 to 33.5 cents. That's my expectation at the moment. You'll probably find support around here and then continue to rally. Yeah, easy peasy. What else do we want here? Maybe I should put some lines there. Let's put these lines here and see if we can make sense out of that with other things. Probably not, because there's just not a lot of history. But let's just see what we can do. You know, from a high here to a low here, you came up to your 1886. There's your 1272. Yeah, you know, if you don't find support at your 1414, typically you look to find support at your 1272. But maybe you come all the way back down here at 27.5 cents. It's very possible too. Okay, cool. A little bit of congruence there. 4-hour time frame. The RSI does have lower lows. You have higher lows in the price. That's good. Lower lows in stochastics, higher lows in the price. You're at areas, again, where you're very near or at areas that you'd expect to bounce. Stochastics, you could bounce right here at the 50. RSI could go a little bit lower. The MACD looks great. You could also go a little bit lower with the MACD and like kind of touch tips here and then bounce more. One thing's for certain, at least in my opinion, this move's not done. I don't believe that this move is done. The daily MACD is crossing above the zeros. Definitely not done. You got very overbought. Typically, whenever you get overbought like this, it's like if it is a pump and dump, you'll get in, you'll get out pretty quickly. But when you get this overbought, you typically do see multiple iterations, if not several iterations, in the overbought zone, all the while growing higher. So I definitely expect this thing to continue. I don't think that it stops here. You know, if we're respecting this fib, and it looks like we kind of are from a high to a low, the next area, you're at 36.3 cents now. The next area in question would be 72 cents, the 2272 area. Typically, you don't stop at the 2272, you wick a little bit above it, so even 75 cents and above. But I wouldn't expect that you went through all this trouble of pumping like this and then dumping down dramatically just to stop at your next target area. You know, if you did, I'd be more concerned of a longer kind of phase of consolidation that goes into several months of consolidation, if not at least a month or so of consolidation. But I would think that you do continue up to the next target at least. So this is the minimum target by way of the fibs would be about 75 cents, because again you go just above the 2272. Look at that, 2272 is at 7272. That's kind of funny. And then the 382 was at like 33533 or something like that. Somebody's playing games here. I would think the next target is where we would go. I accept this as kind of the minimum target. I accept this as the minimum target, but my personal minimum target would be about 95 cents. $1 psychological resistance makes sense to me. $1.40, something like that, could be where we go as well. This is the money zone after all, the 2886 3113, which we don't normally consider, but in bullish times like this, you can kind of throw that into the equation. So 95 cents to $1.40 from the current price, that would be anything from about a 2.6x to about almost a 4x, 3.9x. So a lot of growth left in this thing. And at the rate of its growth right now, it could be there, I mean, by the end of this next week. It really could be there by the end of this next week. If not by the end of this next week, certainly by the end of the month. With its low market cap and everything, man, and the amount of volume that's come in, I really wouldn't be surprised if you continued even. Right? We've seen these kind of moves happen, and we've seen 20 to 40x moves overall from the low. I mean, just to get to a 20x move, that would take you above any of my expectations that I've laid out. 256 all the way up here at a 20x move. And I'm only saying this because it's got such a low market cap. 40x move again. It still has a very low market cap overall. Not from its current price, not a 40x from its current price, but here, you know, 520 something, because that's about a 41.7, almost 42x. So let's bring it down like $5. You know, you really could overall end up being in this zone here. Maybe 233 to 442 would be a more appropriate guess, but crazy growth, you guys. How much would that be from the current price to 7x to a 13x? 7 times 8. 6 times 8 is 48. 7 times 8 is... Why can't I do that? 56. 56. That was simple math. I couldn't do that. So 56. 560. Probably like $565 million. Yeah, you can see 565 million. Could this thing go all the way up to $1 billion? I don't know. Maybe. I mean, in time, sure. I think that you'll see these prices and more if it continues to grow. But now is the time where you really prove yourself. Is this a pump and dump, or do you have continuation? I think that you will have continuation. I think this is very standard procedure, but time will tell ultimately. So I've got nothing else for you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe. As always, do your own research. Make sure that you like the project that you're investing in. I think that the simp for fun stuff is kind of cool. If that sounds like a joke, it's not a joke. I mean, it kind of is a joke, I guess, but that's one of their products, one of their things in their ecosystem, the Soon network. So it's an interesting thing. I wonder what their staking's like, actually. Before we end this video, let's see because I know that the staking went way down. It used to be like 200 and something or 300. I think it was like 600% at one point, but it went down daily. Let's see. Soon staking. If you do start live trading, that's simp for fun, right? That's their live trading application or network ecosystem, whatever, built on the Soon network. It's like the Hyperliquid DEX for Hyperliquid, right? 64% APY. Still really good. Still really good. It's dropped a lot. Okay, well, let's click disconnect. Yeah, still really good. One of the higher APRs that you'll have. But it is dropping. It is dropping a lot, right? At one point, the total value locked here was like $4 billion, and that was whenever it was at like 600%. So as this total value locked goes up, the APY will also, and I'm pretty sure when you do stake, just be aware when you stake with this, I think it's 7 days. Read the protocol. I think it takes 7 days to unstake. So if you're trying to trade, it might not be worth it, right? And APY, that's per year, so it's not like per day, per month, or anything like that. But just do your research, right? Do your research. Learn about it. Yeah. Anyways, I got nothing else for you guys. Hit the like button, subscribe, take care. Simp for fun. Bye-bye.